we'll focus on Open Up 7th grade Unit 1, Lesson 12, Units and Scale Drawings. So today's goals. The first, I can tell whether two scales are equivalent. And second, I can write scales with units as scales without units. This is our second exposure to this. We've done it a little bit before. So today we engaged in a scales card sort, and most of you were able to determine that these three cards, 1 inch to 8 feet, 1/8 inch to 1 foot, and 1 to 96 were all equivalent. One method that you might want to try to determine whether or not two scales are equivalent is try to convert them all to a scale without units. So if we started that 1 inch to 8 feet, you're going to want to convert these both to the same unit of measurement. So let's change 8 feet into inches. Because there are 12 inches in a foot, we can do 8 times 12, or 96. So this is the same as 1 inch to 96 inches, or the scale 1 to 96. So these show that these two are a match. And to determine the next one, again, we can change 1/8 inch. Again, I would probably scale this up. We can multiply here by 8 to get a nice unit of 1, and by 8 here to get a nice unit of 1. And this is 1 inch to 8 feet, which is equivalent to the first card we had. Or again, we could take that all the way to 196 if we wanted. So a scale does not have to be expressed in terms of one scaled unit, but one's often chosen because it just makes the scale factor easier to see and our calculations are more efficient. So I encourage you to try to get it where one of those two values is 1. All right, so scales can be expressed in many different ways, including using different units or not using any units. I want you to try this one on your own. How can we express the scale 1 inch to 5 yards without units? So, because there are 12 inches in a foot and 3 feet in a yard, you could multiply 1 inch to 5 times 12 times 3 inches to figure out how many inches are in that 5 yards, and you're going to get 1 to 180. All right, in addition to working with distances, we can also use these scales to tell us how area relates. So remember, we looked at this huge flag of Tunisia today. So let's try this. If a map uses the scale 1 inch to 5 miles, how could we find the actual area of a region represented on the map? All right, we would want to find the area of the map in square inches and then multiply it by 25 square miles because 1 square inch represents 25 square miles. And if we're working backwards, and we know we have that same scale, 1 inch to 5 miles, how could we find the scaled area if you know its actual area? Well, we're going to use that scale factor in reverse. So, multiply the area of the actual region by 1/25 because this scale map is going to be smaller. But then we're going to use the label square inches because we're going from those miles to the inches. All right, so here again, to recap today's goals, just go ahead and check and see if you feel like you have it mastered, and have a wonderful day.